Welcome to Chattergang, a pod about the magic and the gathering. I'm Hope Speakin', but you can call me Jose. And today, interestingly enough, we can call them Fonts of Hope, but actually we just call them Bree. Hey Bree, how's it going today?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. So just to start off, a person after my own heart. You found your favorite card, you found your favorite character, and then named yourself, is what it seems like. Is that correct?
That is correct. Very easy to read with that one.
Yes, yeah. I mean, hey, I'm a Chandra person, so I get it. You're a Giada person. Why specifically Giada? Or if I'm saying it wrong, is it Giada or Giada? I know I hear it differently
Oh,
sometimes.
man, this one's been hotly debated because I hear people pronounce it either way.
Mhm.
I normally say Giada, but I'm not like really up in arms over
I would
whether or
I
not
would say
I'm
you're
saying.
the expert. I'm gonna follow your lead. You're the expert. You're the
Oh
font of hope.
man, dangerous precedent to be setting. But yes, okay, we'll go with that, Giada.
Okay, Giada. All right. So why Giada? What drew you to Giada?
Well, Giada was one of the first decks that I actually built that was outside of a pre-con that I was playing when I was starting to get into the game. And I really found myself loving angels, and it was hard for me to stray away from Giada as a commander initially. And then when I started reading into the story from New Capenna, seeing Giada as a character, her growth, and ultimately what she stood for and became symbolic of, it's something that I wanted to also kind of emanate, if that makes sense.
It
She's
does.
the one who, through hope and sacrifice alone, brought back Halo, brought back the angels to New Capenna, and I thought that was just really beautiful.
That is beautiful, and that's a really good reason to have that name. I think that's a fantastic reason, and I know you have the pictures that you took of the Giada from Foundations. How
Oh,
excited were you for that art to come out?
so excited. It's actually kind of a beautiful melding of two different reasons. One, my favorite character, and two, the one of the art pieces from Foundations by Scott Fisher. He is one of my favorite artists in Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
So when I saw that, and I was very, very luckily gifted the, oh my goodness, the Manifoil version
Yep.
of her card, I was immediately in love. So it's one of
What
my favorites.
what drew you to Scott Fisher specifically?
I have to say a lot of it was based on the Secret Lair pre-con angels. They're just like us, but cooler and with wings. And I was very lucky also to be gifted that one by my partner Nathan, and
Aw,
it's a fantastic deck. He did several original pieces for that specific Secret Lair, and a few of them have contained my favorite art. So that's what kind of pushed me to look into more of his art. And there's yet to be a single Fisher piece that I haven't liked.
that's awesome. Have you been to a Magic Con before?
I have. I went to Chicago earlier this year.
You in Chicago? Awesome. Did you get to meet Scott Fisher?
Not at Chicago. I was lucky enough to meet Kai Carpenter, who also did
Okay.
Foundations Giada, whose his work is amazing. But
Yeah.
when I was working at Gen Con earlier this year in August, Scott Fisher was actually there, and I was able to meet him in person and get some art from him.
That's amazing. I love that so much. What kind of pieces did you get when you met him?
Oh, goodness. Well, I got several. They have yet to be hung up or framed, but I had no impulse control when it came to buying stuff. So I bought several pieces from him. All of them are angel related. So I have a piece with his Giada from Foundations. I also got what was a three-piece art, now in a single print that has, let's see, Bruna the Fading Light, Gisela the Broken Blade, and then their melting version of Brizella. So it was amazing. It's a really beautiful piece. I highly recommend you go and see the original at some point on his page. And then I got, oh goodness, I'm forgetting all the other pieces I got. Oh, the Archangel of Thune, which is probably one of my favorite pieces by him.
That one, so when I looked up some of the art from the Secret Layer, that's the first one that came up, and I was like, my God, does that one look cool?
It was so gorgeous. When I was at Gen Con at his booth, he had the original painting hung up. I would love it, but it is a bit above my pay grade, my
Right.
lab. But it was amazing to see in person.
I
The
feel that.
attention to detail is spectacular.
What would you say is your favorite piece that he's made?
Ooh, Court of Grace, I would
Court of
say.
Thieves.
Yes. A little fun fact I discovered while I was watching a video that he'd posted was that when he was working on this piece, he actually used his daughter's likeness within it for the main focus and also featured himself and his wife's side profiles as like people who are looking in on the piece. It's beautiful. I thought that was a really touching tribute too.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
And it?
Oh my god. Okay, that's hard to beat. That's really hard to beat. I get it now. That makes a lot of sense. So it feels like, and I kind of jumped over like the actual like how'd you get into magic and all that stuff, and we'll come back to that, whatever. But what got you into angels? It feels like you're really an angels person.
Oof, I am. To say it was just because of the initial putting together a Giada. When I was starting to try to build my own decks, I was horrible. I was so bad at it. There's no sugarcoating it. So I had at one point my partner and I were on a little road trip, and he's like, "Oh, check out this YouTube channel." I was looking at some of their like deck tech budget builds because I was still struggling with justifying the idea of how much money I was willing to put into a hobby I wasn't, you know, completely immersed in yet. And it was a build that was under $40. So I took advice from this person. I'll have to look it up and send you the information. I cannot remember for the life of me
No
who did
worries.
it. But I was like, yeah, this sounds really fun. I'll get some angels out there. We'll see how it works. It seems pretty simple compared to these other decks I've tried where it's like, this is too much brain power for someone who's still not understanding what vigilance means. But I started playing that deck and I was like, I really like angels. I think the art is always beautiful on the cards. I really like the synergy with angels, specifically in angel typals, but almost all of my decks have some sort of angel in them involved, even if it's not, specifically an angel typal deck. So it's just been, I feel like it matches my playstyle oftentimes, and I feel like almost every deck benefits from at least one sort of angel. So yeah, they're a bit high cost sometimes, but I feel like the payoff's worth it.
I think that's fair. I mean, flying usually pretty good, but they usually have some kind of life link or something that's also pretty good. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So where did your journey for Magic begin? You say that the first few decks you made were kind of not so great, but
Oh, they were.
where did you begin as it comes to Magic in general?
So I definitely started out with pre-cons, as I feel like a lot of people do, or at least I hope they do. It seems easier to get into through pre-cons. This was several years ago at this point. It was when Strixhaven, I believe, came out. We have a friend locally. His name's Jake. He's so cool. He got my husband and I into Dungeons and Dragons, and it's kind of opened the doorway into TTRPGs and card games as a whole. But he used to play fairly regularly, competitively, and he was like, I'm kind of interested in getting back into this. And so we're like, sure, we'll pick up some precons, we'll learn to play. This guy is so good. We'd bring in a deck once we felt a little bit more comfortable with it, like that we'd built. And
Hmm.
him, having never seen it before, would take like 5 seconds to look through the cards and be like, "Oh, I know what to do with this," and then he'd kick our ass. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have asked if I can if I
Oh,
can curse.
you can, you're good, you're good.
Okay, fantastic.
Of course.
But he was a big part in getting both my partner and I into Magic. And then our close friend Danny, the CEO of the Mono Black Meanies, also started getting really into it. So it's just like we found this perfect little group of everyone getting invested in something at the same time. Like we hyperfixated on it together.
What Magic the Gathering players hyperfixating? I've never heard of that before.
What? No, never.
Never. So you talk about right. So you talk about Danny. You talk about the Mono Black Meanies. As you are one, how did that come about? How did that whole thing start?
Oh goodness. Well, Danny is the epitome of a mono black meanie. The man loves a mono black deck, and we will relentlessly bully him when that happens. But I can't really say for kind of the starting point for him. I know that you had a friend of mine, Haley, on
Yep.
recently, who was one of the like OG mono black meanies when they were doing, was it cocktails and counter spells?
Yep.
Her, Dan, and Danny. I was kind of the starting point. I was mostly behind the scenes, as I kind of still am, helping with like stream design and some video editing for them. And at one point, when I started getting into it, Danny's like, "Hey, you should join the Mono Black Meanies." I'm like, "Danny, I don't play Mono Black." He's like, "It's okay. You're a secret meanie. You're a meanie in spirit." So I'm like, "Okay, I'll join you." I feel like I'm an imposter right now, but the group has been so wonderful, so welcoming, and it's like for a bunch of meanies, they're genuinely the nicest people I've ever met.
You really, really are, which is why I think you fit in really well with the group, by the way. And as a
Aw.
side note, like you're one of those people who've like they've always been. It sounds like you've always been a meanie, but you just didn't get the official. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like the person who's always been on the team, but they didn't get like the contract yet. So like they didn't think they were part of the team. You were already a part of the team.
Well, yeah, I think you're pretty close on that one. I agree.
Yeah. And it sounds like, I mean, it sounds like it's been a super interesting journey for the meanies. It's all of you are incredible. Like seriously, all of you are absolutely fantastic, and I'm so thankful to know so many of you. And we've had Haley and we've had Ballistic, and now we have you. And I am on a journey to get all the Mono Black meanies on here at some point. So if you're listening, just come. But I do love what you all stand for, even if for you, like you said, you don't play Mono Black really all that much, but you're all good people, and that includes you because I've gotten to talk to you a lot, more a lot more recently through Instagram, and you're just super sweet. You're a super sweet person.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
clip this part and send it to Danny to remind him when I'm annoying him, but I'm a super sweet person.
Yes, please do. I'll tell him. I'll let him know. But as it comes to content in general, you started posting about a year and a half ago. Does that sound right?
It does, yes, like July of last year
Yeah.
ish.
So, what made you start posting and what has kept you going?
I would say indirect peer pressure. My friends, like Danny, Haley, Dan, my partner Nathan, we're all doing magic content in some form on Instagram. I had years back, around like 2019, 2020, been involved in like the tabletop role playing side of Instagram, and I did photography, product photography for some tabletop companies. So that photography has always been kind of the medium that I fit most well in and I enjoy the
Mhm.
most. And I was like, I was experiencing some serious burnout after a few years. It's fun to pursue hobbies, but it's also a labor of love. So I had taken a break and kind of deleted most of my social media for a bit. But once I started playing a bit more regularly and like seeing how much fun like so many people that I knew were having, I was like, you know what, I'll try it again. I'll start a page. I don't know if it's going to take off. I don't know how much time I'm actually going to invest in it. I started it at a time where I was going through some medical hardships, so it was good to have a creative outlet while I was going through that, and it kind of started snowballing for me. And I've been very lucky that I've met a lot of really nice people who have been receptive to a style of content that is a little bit outside of the norm, outside of the like video content. I'll be honest, I'm not the person you want to come to when it's like, oh, here's some really good strategy advice, here's some really good deck tech content. I'm not that person. I will default to the people who are much more knowledgeable than I am. But I like how beautiful the art is and I enjoy the lore. So I try to find a way to highlight it with my photography.
And I think you do a really, really good job with that. Obviously, one of your more popular ones is the Giada. You had the Avacyn from Innistrad Remastered. That's the right
Oh,
set, right? Yeah. And like they're absolutely gorgeous and obviously really resonated with people. What is it about pho- well, let me backtrack even a little more. What got you into photography in general?
actually a really good question. I can ask
Okay.
myself the same thing. Like, when did this start? I remember just thinking, like, oh man, I really want to be involved in like. At the time, I was really, really into Dungeons and Dragons, and to give the Cliff's Notes version of stuff, I was like, you know what? I think the art on some of these books is really cool. I'm gonna try to take some pictures of it with my iPhone. Stylize it a bit. I want to give it like a cozy vibe. You know, I was channeling Bookstagram for a hot minute, but make it nerd. And it went well. I remember at one point I posted, I think it was a Critical Role book specifically that gained a ton of traction. And I had some people start following me, and that's actually how I met Danny. We were both doing tabletop stuff on Instagram, and then we're both supposed to be going to GaryCon back in 2020. But then COVID struck. So everything went into lockdown. That convention got canceled. And I was like, you know what? I still enjoy doing these photos. I'm going to actually like, try to do this a bit more regularly. I'm sorry, this is a very long answer, a very long
Oh,
Cliff's notes.
oh my
But
gosh, no, please talk about it. I love it.
when I was doing that just for fun, I actually had someone from a company called Dungeon in a Box reach out to me, and they're like, "Hey, we really like your work. Would you be willing to maybe like talk with us about doing social media for us?" So I started doing photography and social media work for them,
Wow.
which got me more invested, yeah, in the TTRPG space. And then I actually invested. I was like, you know what? It's time. I should probably like step up my game and get myself an actual camera and not rely on my iPhone. So I did that and eventually started like snowballing to where I was working with other companies like dice companies like Norse Foundry. I've done some work for Ravensburger on specifically like some puzzles and their Lord of the Rings adventure book game. So it kind of just started as a, hey, I guess I'll post this because it looks cool. And then people were like, yeah, it looks cool. So I was like, okay, I'll do that again, I guess. So that was kind of the natural progression of it.
That's awesome. And then you've kept up with it and you're doing an absolutely amazing job so far. And I can't wait to see what more you do. What is there something that you've done so far that you're like this feels like your in your eyes your masterpiece?
Oof, man, that's a big question. I think my first contract work through Ravensburger, that or the Rings Adventure Book game I mentioned, is one of my favorite shoots I've done. I'll have to share some photos with you. I
Please do.
remember the day that I apologize, the contact I was working with who had done the outreach to me to work on it. I said, "Hey, we have." He sent me pictures like your photos are up on our displays, like in our play area at our convention. I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
oh my god, this is so cool. I never imagined that, it'd be on that level. And then it was used in an article for Target. And I was like, what is happening? When they were talking about the launch, I was like, I don't think I'm ever gonna beat that feeling that I had. So that was
Yeah.
probably my biggest one so far. And that's not magic related, but it's just a very fun memory from
Yeah. No,
early in photography.
I'll say it doesn't have to, and it doesn't have to be magic related because right now I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to like a super famous photographer right now. Oh my
You're
goodness.
so sweet. I wouldn't go that far, but I was very, very fortunate that they trusted me with the vision that they had.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I can't wait to see those. I think that's going to be awesome. It just sounds amazing. So I truly truly cannot wait for that. And as it comes to some stuff that you've done recently, there's another card game that you started recently, correct?
Yes, I have recently become immersed in Riftbound.
What about what is it? So I have not gotten myself into Riftbound yet. Everyone like MJ and obviously you see Zabricus and a whole lot of people talking about Riftbound. What is it about Riftbound that has caught you and made you like it so much?
Well, the initial introduction and like hook that got me to
Hmm.
try out a new TCG was my love for Arcane. I have zero League of Legends knowledge, so big gamer girl over here, but I loved Arcane. So that was kind of the initial motivation. I love the art style. I think they've knocked it out of the park. The game overall, I feel like it's had its growing pains. It's a new TCG. I expect that of anything that's new coming out to market, especially when, it's pulling inspiration from what I understand is like a wealth of lore and
Sure.
mechanics that should be accurately represented from one game to another. So I can't really speak to that aspect of it, but overall, I feel like aside from the growing pains, the mechanics have been fairly straightforward. I don't feel like this is nothing against Magic. I came in at a point where I was like, there's a lot of keywords to start to learn. The stack is very difficult to understand as a starting player. Hell, the stack still confuses me half the time, but
Yeah, no one
um,
understands stack. I don't care who you are, no one understands stack.
I will nod and trust whoever is at the table that they know more than I do because I don't know what I'm doing. But it's been cool to kind of see from like starting from like the ground up, like they're building from a foundation, has been very interesting. It's fun. I've liked both the 1v1 format and like the skirmisher events that I've gone to, so I've really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. So how deep into Riftbound are you already?
Ooh, I would say if we're going like layers here, if I have to rate it on a 1 through 5, I'm probably a
Yeah.
solid 3. I'm having fun. I am not super knowledgeable into the meta at the moment. So on the competitive scale, I'm not going up to the 5. But I'm comfortable with running any of the precons. I've built another deck around a new legend, Misfortune, and I have like a passing like conversational knowledge when it comes to the next set that's coming out. But I definitely have goals of building more decks so I can be more knowledgeable of exactly everything that's happening.
Are you inherently a competitive person when it comes to card games?
So I guess it really depends. I have only recently started like dipping my toes into like the CEDH. not actually playing in tournaments locally. That would require traveling, unfortunately, for where we're located.
Sure.
But playing like online with friends in something that's designated to be competitive. Well, kind of started getting into that, but I do enjoy, some good competition. I wouldn't say it's something I put a ton of my worth or my drive towards, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely makes sense. The reason I ask is because with new TCGs, just like so, I like playing fighting games, and whenever a new fighting game comes out, there are people who like in just right away want to be as good as possible because they want to try to get in the competitive scene. Because the earlier you get into it, the
Hmm.
more likely you are to gain some kind of success, whether it be sponsorships or being able to go to competitions because there is less competition because it's new.
Hmm.
The reason I ask is because with Riftbound being newer and yes, popular from everything I can tell, because Arcane popular, League of Legends popular, it's still a new game. At the time of recording, one set is officially out with spoilers coming out for another one, I believe. So is that something you would be interested in? Is like if it were more viable for you, would you try to get into the competitive aspect of it?
Potentially. I'd like to see that
Hmm.
challenge.
Okay. Okay.
Depends. I have a lot of respect for people who are able to perform at a competitive level. That obviously requires a lot of time and dedication to it. And sometimes my ADHD spirals me out of control. So I'll see if it'll let me focus.
I feel that. How hard is it in Riftbound? Is it 1v1 or is it a four pod or how does that work?
Oh, they have different formats essentially. So there is a 1v1, which has you essentially as a very broad overview competing for control over two battlefields and scoring points by either, let's see, conquering a battlefield or maintaining a battlefield over a turn. Once you add a third player into it, the rules change up ever so slightly to balance it out. So it'll start like with the three, I think in the four-player format as well. Going first isn't always the best. You might have, a bit more you can do up front, but you also get to, I believe, denied card draw for the first turn. So it does a good job, I feel, of balancing depending on how many players are involved. So it'll increase the number of battlefields up to three, and then some people might get some benefits despite being later in the play.
Okay, okay. Interesting. So is the focus harder to have when there's more people involved for you?
It can be
I,
sometimes.
I
I've
know it is for me. I know it is for me.
it definitely can be. I feel the same way about Commander. When
Yeah.
there's multiple things at play, something I've been trying to work on actively is accurate and efficient threat assessment. That's one thing I think that I could probably benefit from a bit more knowledge of what's happening in the meta and being a bit more, educated in how particular strategies play out. I've benefited a little bit at times from other players focusing on each other, and I'll kind of coast oftentimes through it until I'm able to actually build up my, how do I put it, my resources.
Wait, does not everyone do that? Because that's what I do too.
Yeah, it's like y'all go and fight, please, please do
Yeah.
this. Yeah, maybe I don't know, poke the bear. Look, this person's a problem. The
Yeah.
politicking is fun.
Politicking is fun. Politicking is very fun and Magic. It's actually one of my favorite parts, mostly because I just like talking to people during Magic anyway. But I agree that is very much a fun part. Is there in the games that you play for? Is there a lot of that aspect of it too, like the politicking and like trying to make deals, or is it very like I am against everyone and I can't make deals with anyone in this?
I guess it does depend on the group that you're with. My
Okay.
history so far has been that there's been some politicking.
Okay.
Oftentimes, unless I'm going to throw my partner Nathan under the bus, unless
Yeah.
he's playing Kaisa, in which case all bets are off. Like everyone's
Sure.
against him. Bring a Kaisa to a table right now. I'm not super in the meta, but I do know that's a problem. That is a problem deck.
All right, so this sounds like if we were to take it over to Magic, it'd be like someone who played like Toxrill or Turgrid.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's
Okay.
like insta kill.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I see. I can understand that. I get that. Are there any other card games that you've played in your lifetime besides Magic and Riftbound?
Oh, I've played a little bit of Altered and Lorcana.
Okay.
I haven't been super invested in either, not for lack of want. They were very fun when I played them. I do find that my attention often focused back on Magic just because of what was more widely played, like in my social circles.
That's fair. That makes a lot of
What about
sense.
you? Do you play other formats of the Magic or other games? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you. I was actually going to ask you about formats here in a second, so we can talk about that too. But I truly only play Magic. I want to play other stuff, but I'm very much a person that once I get involved into a game, I want to like delve like whole body into the pool of that game. And card games are expensive, so it
So
makes it
true.
very hard. It makes it very, very hard because like Lorcana, I was like, oh, like I know a few people who want to play Lorcana. I would totally do that. Riftbound came out. I was like, oh, I would be willing to try that. It's brand new. I can, get in on the ground floor kind of thing. And then the moment I tell my wife that I want to do that, she looks at me like, you don't need another card game, man. Like you do not need another card.
Relatable.
But someday, because I used to play Pokemon back in the day. So like, okay, actually, let me rephrase. I started playing Magic in the '90s, late '90s, because I'm
Oh,
old. I'm very old. I'm 36. I'm not that old, but I am old enough to have played Magic in the late '90s.
I
But
was
I
gonna say you're
started,
you're not much older than me. You're not that
yeah,
old.
no, I'm not that old, but it depends on who you ask how old I am. And so I played Pokemon first, and I went to a card shop that they played like everything. So back then, it would have been like the Star Wars trading card game, the Dragon Ball Z trading card game. There was an MLB Showdown trading card game, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic was a part of that. So I started playing Magic. I literally played all of those except for Yu-Gi-Oh back then. So very much, if I could get into a card game, I still am very much that way. I will whole wholesale get into it, and then I'll have like 17 decks because I just love playing card games. I love playing card games. So someday maybe I'll be one of the people that you play with, and then you can crush me in Riftbound, and then it'll all be great.
You're talking up my game a bit. I appreciate it. It's been very the record is not in my favor
Yeah.
for the outcomes of games, but it is very fun.
I mean, I trust that you'd be able to do it. I know you consider yourself a casual TCG player,
Oh yeah.
more than anything. But I think just like with anything, competitive comes out when the game starts, right? Like even now, I kind of wouldn't say I'm super competitive person, but when I get in the game, like I want to win. I want to win, so I'm gonna try to win. You know.
What? How dare you, really, the audacity to come into a card game that's built on winning, with the
Yep.
goal of winning.
I know it's ridiculous. How dare I want to win the game? I should want other people to win all the games. Speaking of games and talking about formats from earlier, are there any other formats you play besides Commander?
I've tried my hand at standard. I have not really kept up, to be perfectly honest. 60 card formats are fun, but I tend to really enjoy Commander based on the social aspect. Having multiple people involved, it feels like, I don't know, again, we're going back to the politicking. I enjoy the politicking in
Yeah,
Commander. I enjoy, shooting the shit with people, getting to poke a little bit of fun at friends. So I mostly stay in my Commander lane.
what bracket do you live in?
Ooh, the majority of my decks are threes right now. I have started attempting to go more into the 4 and 5 direction. I played a game with, oh my goodness, some awesome people yesterday. So Matt, the Janky Casual, Xavier, Based Messiah X, and then Haley, who we mentioned earlier, MTG Demonic Tutor, yesterday, or as of recording yesterday, where I was playing one of my few bracket 4 decks, Elevere of the Wild Court.
Ooh,
It's a Lesnia enchantment commander who I love, and I'm thinking I want to try to go more in the direction of fours after that game. It was really fun.
nice, nice. I know that was one of the cards that you highlighted in your recap for 2025.
Yes,
And I was at,
I
uh, go ahead.
oh, I said yes. I love Elevere. She's
Yeah.
very fun.
Oh, and I actually want to talk about that overview because I find it so fascinating. And then I'm gonna have a hard question at the end of
Oh,
that.
okay.
But can you talk to us a little about? Let's start with Elevere. I know that was like in the order of how you put it. The last one. I guess we'll go backwards. What about Elevere do you love? Because I know based on what you put on there, it's stacks, enchantments, card draw, and stuff like that. But what is your favorite part about that deck?
Oh goodness. Oh, that's fun. I really enjoy before Elevere, just to give some background. I really
Mhm.
wasn't an enchantment player aside
Okay.
from I have one deck, Bruna, Light of Alabaster, that dealt with auras a
Uh-huh.
lot. But other than that deck, I really didn't play enchantments often. But I saw the art on Elevere. I was like, here's a woman, this amazing knightly woman who's surrounded by little magical creatures, and I love her. So I want to try this. I did not come up with the entirety of my deck on the fly or by my own research. I looked at other decks that had been posted and thought like, "Ooh, I like how they're doing it. I'm gonna try to kind of take a few inspiration from a few of these and put them into one for myself." I
Yeah.
thought, you know what, I really want to play on the auras or the enchantments in this one, and then try to find ways to make everything boost each other up.
Yeah.
So the big goal with that is to slow down a board through the stacks pieces. The difficulty I've found is that, some of these stacks pieces, they affect me too. So I need to be
Yeah.
really cognizant of how I'm playing them. But if I have a lot of enchantments out, ultimately, if I'm playing it right, I can have some pretty heavy hitters on the board while I don't have any type of like particular infinite combos or instant win scenarios within the deck. I find that they can be a little bit difficult to deal with if I'm limiting what other people can do, which I know is not the nicest strategy, but it's been fun.
Yes, people don't like when their time is messed with. I did, you know, it's the old adage that casual players don't like removal or stacks. So one thing I will say about something that you mentioned that you extracted from I truly believe all of Magic is just extracting from other people's experiences. So don't discount your deck building just because it's like citing a paper. You write a paper for school and you cite your sources. So you just cited your sources. That's all you did.
I like that. That's a good way of looking at it. Thank you.
Yeah, no big deal, no problem. So you love that deck. I love that because that sounds like a fun deck from playing it, not from the other side. Like you said, not exactly fun for your opponents. But we're gonna go on to another Staxy type deck, Derevi. Derevi stacks blinking, infinite mana, damage. It's Derevi. It's Derevi. It's Derevi. That's the
Yeah.
what do you love about your Derevi deck though?
I gotta be honest, my Derevi is probably what most Derevi decks are. I'm looking at blinking Derevi a bunch, finding a way to trigger Derevi so I could be untapping my stuff as often as possible, and going and effectively trying to, like, how do I say it, have my triggers occur in additional time. Two of my favorite cards in it, which I included on my like overview of my commanders for the year. I have Emiel the Blessed in that, and Delny Streetwise Lookout. Delny, the icon that you are. A lot of my creatures within this deck, with some exception, have very low power, including Derevi. Since Derevi's only a 2 power, a 2/3 overall, I'm finding ways to trigger the abilities of cards of my creatures and finding Delny in order to do that multiple times over. So it's fun. It's another strategy of I'm gonna try to slow down everyone else while I'm working around my own stacks piece.
I really needed. Every time I look at Downey, I'm like, man, I really need this for my McCready deck because I built a little guys deck, and I just need more things to help little guys, and that Downey is like perfect little guy card.
Oh gosh, they are. I love it. I went to another show with my partner Nathan, who had a Delny deck, a commander deck that was disgusting.
I
I
believe that.
loved it. I ended up breaking down that deck, so I got the benefit of having that Derevi card for, or not Derevi, that Delny card for Derevi.
Yeah, you're taking that deck apart now. That's what's happening.
I want it. Yeah, we very much your card is my card. It's our cards.
Yes, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I mean that deck, it's Derevi. That's literally all I can ever say about Derevi. It's Derevi. Like
Yeah,
Derevi's great,
it's
and that
great.
sounds really fun too. But I think though so far, like I love all your decks. Side note, like that's aside the point. I love all your decks. The Una one really strikes me as something that fits kind of my game style, even though I don't play Bant that often. But the counters, the mana, and just creaturing. So what so tell me about Yuna.
So Yuna is primarily the precon, the Tidus precon that had come out with the Final Fantasy set. I've made some slight modifications to her, namely, of course, exchanging Tidus for Yuna,
Hmm.
Grand Summoner. I almost started talking about the other Yuna deck, Hope of Spira, because I have that as one of my commanders as well. But for my Grand Summoner deck, it's primarily the precon. I've made some exchanges out. I'm very comfortable with counter decks. One of my other decks that I ran was Pure Imaginative Rascal and Toothy Imaginary Friend.
Nice.
So it relies heavily on counters, and I've carried some of those same ideas over into Yuna. Ways to find ways to increase the number of counters I'm putting on it. Hardened scales is always a classic. But then there's also a couple enchantment auras that are in it. My favorite one being Freed from the Real, which is a Could possibly an instant win if I'm lucky enough to also have out another card, Walking Ballista.
Oh
I
no.
Yeah, it's amazing. For those who aren't familiar with this particular interaction, there's also a Pimmons Aura does effectively the same thing, but Freed from the Real is one I really enjoy. It's another Scott Fisher art piece. Finding a way to tie that back in. But Una Grand Summoner has the ability to do the Grand Summon. So you tap her, she'll add a mana of any color, and then the next time that you cast a creature spell that turn, that creature will enter in with two +1/+1 counters. So on face value, it works very well for the deck. If you're throwing in something like the enchantment auras, Freed from the Real or Pimmons Aura, that enchanted creature for Freed from the Real now has the option of using a blue mana to tap enchanted creature or untap enchanted creature. So I often use it to untap Una. At that point, retap her to add a blue. Every single time you do that, you're adding two additional +1/+1 counters for the next creature that you summon that turn. So you just tap her a shit ton, and then you bring out a Walking Ballista and game. Unless there's some interaction, which oftentimes there is, but it's very fun when you're able to get that out.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so you took the Tita deck that was already like at like an 8 out of 10, just out of the box,
Hmm.
and you made it into a 10 out of 10. That's amazing. I mean, Yuna is really, really good. I really enjoy that commander. I need to build that deck so bad. I really, really do.
So
And
fun.
I will take inspiration from yours because it sounds amazing.
Oh, I say I'd love to see what you come up with. I don't know if you're like a really big Final Fantasy fan, but 10.
Not huge, but the set has been amazing. So
Oh, yeah, let's say they did an amazing job with it. So I'm a really big Final Fantasy X fan. So actually seeing the pre-con from it, I was like, they really captured it perfectly.
that's
It's really fun getting to play through and see how it works in game.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really I'm one of those people that once I know enough about a game, I tend to like not play it. I know I should play Final Fantasy because I've heard nothing but good things about it, but like I already feel like I know everything about Final Fantasy because everyone likes Final Fantasy and they all talk about it. No
That's
hate to
fair.
people who love Final Fantasy. It's just I hear about it a lot.
Hey,
I
honestly, as one of those fans, no offense taken, it makes sense.
Yeah, I do love the set though. The set was amazing. They did an incredible job with all the art and the cards and just how good of a set it was, especially considering some other sets that have come out recently, Universes Beyond and not Universes Beyond, have been fine or not so
Yeah.
fine. So before we get into that though, I want to get into your your pinnacle deck here, Giada, because expert Giada, the Giada deck, which is it's Giada. It does the Giada things.
True. Yeah, it's much like how Derevi is Derevi, Giada is Giada. There's not much more to be said than that. She's an angel typal deck, really focused on the +1/+1 counters that Giada is able to, when she's on the board, as you have an angel enter, they'll enter in with a +1/+1 counter for each other angel that I control, or that you control, I should say. So very quickly, if you already have Giada out, another angel comes in, they get a +1/+1 counter. If you have multiple angels, the next one comes out with that many +1/+1 counters. So they all tend to like build up. It takes a little bit. It can sometimes take a little bit of time because the high mana cost of angels often. But ultimately, I've had very good luck with this deck. It's kind of my pride and joy. So I've really enjoyed it.
I was saying Giada being a mana dork in and of herself does definitely does help.
Oh, yeah, it's immensely helpful. And then with some other cards that you can put in there to help reduce the cost of white spells or angels specifically,
Yep,
it's very useful if you get those earlier.
it begets itself at some point. So my super difficult question that I wanted to ask you
Mhm.
is what deck didn't make the cut of this Mount Rushmore because it's four. So essentially Mount Rushmore. What deck just missed the cut to make the top four?
Ooh, that is a really good question. I would say it's probably Pure and Toothy. That one was close. That was neck and neck with Elevere. I will say it was down to both the fact that I was playing Elevere a bit more frequently and because I was really excited to kind of show the cards that were my favorites from it, and because Pure and Toothy was too long text wise to fit on the post. So I was like, that's enough. That's enough right there. I'll do Elevere instead.
Okay, okay. So Pier and Toothy, you're out of here. We don't like you enough. No, I'm
Uh,
joking. We love you, Peer into.
But it was yeah, it was those. I love that particular deck too.
Was it and by the way, the formatting, and a ton of people have already said this for you, but like the formatting of that, was incredible as well. What made you think about doing it that way, the way you did?
Thank you. I had done a similar post the previous year. It was just, I would say, not quite as refined as the one this year. I was trying to think of a way of like, this is absolutely not meant to be shade towards any other style post, but I feel like I was seeing a lot of a very similar post of like, these are my commanders, and like you have to scroll through to see every single one, which is just not as easy on Instagram sometimes, I feel. So I was like, I want to find a way to fit them all on one page and then have extra information if people want to scroll. I was like, I'll try seeing if these arts happen to actually fit really well vertically. So I was like, I'll do it this way instead and try to go for like this celestial gold and white theme for it because I felt like that worked really well with the art for each of the decks that I happened to have chosen. So yeah, that was kind of my thought. I was like, I want to feature the art that I love so much, and then I was like, okay, rather than doing a huge deck tech on each one, I'm just going to give an overview of,
Yeah.
some of my favorite cards for it, and then brief description of what the goal of that deck is.
If there is one thing people love, it is not having to sit through like 3 minutes of someone talking about a deck. So I think that you did. I think you made a good choice because it looks great. People, I mean, people get the idea, and then if they have questions, they ask you, right? Like they ask you the thing. No shade to anyone who does deck techs like that. I know that from my 1.5 minute videos that I make, people have a very short attention span. Anyway.
It's true. I understand. I'm one of those short attention span folk.
Yes, but also you recognize that, and that's like half the battle. So
Yeah.
congratulations,
Well, thank you. I
you made it.
respect anyone who can have the focus and the time dedication to make thorough deck techs because
Yeah,
you are better than I. You are a stronger soldier than I am.
same, same. I just put my decks together and say I hope it works. That's and then if it
Yeah.
does, they were like, "How's it work?" I was like, I just did it." Is there a deck coming into at the time we're recording, Aloran's going to come out? Is there something you're excited for set wise next year?
Ooh, I think out of the sets that are anticipated to release, I'm very excited about Lorwyn. I will be honest, I haven't been immensely, I don't want to say invested, but I'm not the most knowledgeable on exactly what's been, shared of Lorwyn so far outside of some of the art. And this is mostly coming from a financial aspect of this is expensive. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to hold off as I just spent too much money on Avatar
fair,
and
fair
see.
enough.
I might just try to keep myself to singles for things moving forward. Just watch. In 2 months, I'll be posting how we've bought boxes, and
I
I don't
bought a
want anyone
case.
to touch my financial thoughts.
Right? I bought a case of Lorwyn. Come find out. You're gonna have like
So
one of those. You're gonna have one of those like how people do like the unboxing of like random mail that they get or what like they bought like lost packages. You're gonna be like, I bought a case of Lorwyn. Find out.
but I'm excited for Lauren and for Strixhaven as well,
Yeah,
just because that was one of like the first set
yeah,
that we started playing with. So it'd be cool to revisit.
yeah. I hope they do the what do they call them? The alt art cards.
Yes, I know what you're talking about for
I,
Strixhaven, that
yeah,
style.
yeah. I can't remember the name of the style, but I hope they do those cards again because they were very pretty. They were very, very pretty. The art style, the demonic tutor from that set.
So perfect.
Oh my gosh, and especially the Japanese one specifically too, because it's that full
Mhm.
art, the devil thing. Like, oh my gosh, I really hope they do that again. But so you're excited about Strixhaven? Obviously, makes a ton of sense. Lorwyn, how do you feel about Universes Beyond? I guess that's the next question because in between those two is the Universes Beyond. After that is the Universes Beyond. It feels like every day Universes Beyond. So like, what are your feelings on Universes Beyond?
That's a fair question. I feel like this is one that every person's gonna have an opinion on.
Yeah,
Anything that brings more people into a hobby, I'm happy with. Some of my favorite sets have been Universes Beyond. I'm excited to see The Hobbit because I loved the Lord of the Rings Universes Beyond,
yeah.
and I think that they did a very good job on it. So I'm excited to see how they handle The Hobbit. There's been some that just haven't been my taste, and that's okay. I think that a solid number of people I would share a camp with are, hey, can we like revisit in Universal stuff a little bit more? That'd be awesome. But
Yeah.
it's not enough to make me want to leave a game over.
I agree with you. People who want to leave the game because of it, it makes no sense to me. You don't have to play the cards if you don't want to. And if you truly, truly don't want to play with the people who are playing those cards, that is an option.
True.
But
Very true.
wholly leaving the game, I mean, if you do leave the game, just like send me your cards. Speaking of sending cards, hold on. I forgot to mention this. Your video from, or your reel from Innistrad.
Oh,
Do you know what I'm talking about?
yes, I do.
It's so funny. Can you tell me what made you think about doing that?
Thank you. So I definitely stole this idea from TikTok because I would send my partner videos where it's always just like that little sound and it's like, oh, thank you so much. Ha ha. Like you get
Mhm.
me all these things and I get you nothing. So I'd send it to him oftentimes, and that became kind of a running joke line between the two of us. So I was like, I really want these particular cards from Innistrad. I'm just gonna try to make a reel and see how it works. And that's like one of my, I think it's my most viewed and most interacted with post I've ever made. If I
Got a
had
lot.
the attention span and the time for it, I'd probably do more reels similar to that. I'll see if I can maybe do that for Lorwyn, that same format, and hope people
Okay.
don't throw tomatoes at me for repeating myself.
Oh my God. The amount of things that I see that are hyper repeated online, like you're fine. You're gonna be fine. And it's been like a year since then.
Yeah, true.
So Mystical Archives, by the way, that's the name of the art style from Strixhaven, Mystical Archives. So I hope they do
Okay.
Mystical Archives again. What set, so you talked about loving Lord of the Rings, you talked about loving Strixhaven. What set has resonated most with you?
Oh, that's a good question. For nostalgia, I always kind of go back to New Capenna, Streets of New Capenna, and of course that's where Giada came from. Just because that was while Strixhaven was the set that had just released when my partner and I got into Magic, New Capenna was the one that we kind of really got more invested in, with both the story and with actually going out and making specific purchases for
Okay.
cards. So it's like a nostalgic value for me. I've also really, oh gosh, there's been so many that have been really good. I also
Yeah.
really enjoyed the most recent Universes Beyond Avatar: The Last Airbender.
It's so good.
So it is. When they first announced that, I was just like, already ready to like go ham on everything because I loved Avatar. I love Avatar: The Last Airbender, Legend of Korra, everything that has come from that particular franchise. So,
Mhm.
and I think they did a really fantastic job with it, both obviously with like the art direction, but also with like the flavor and the mechanics that they chose for cards.
I wholeheartedly agree. They did what God, I hate I'm gonna say this with all the love in my heart because I love Spider-Man. But for everything that they didn't do with Spider-Man, they did with Avatar.
I would agree.
And I love Spider-Man as a character, one of my favorite characters of all time. But
Mm,
Avatar, it's like it almost felt like they put all their eggs into the Avatar basket, and it showed
mhm,
because that set is so. Even my wife, who is not a my wife is not a Magic the Gathering person, but she's a huge Avatar person. Avatar is one of her like comfort shows,
mhm,
and she gets a little critical when the art comes out for things and things she loves because she loves Lord of the Rings as well, and she's like, "Oh, that doesn't look like this," because they had to do like a rendition of it to make up for the fact that they can't get like the exact art all the time.
mhm,
Even she loved the art from this set, and she's
mhm.
a hard sell on that kind of stuff. So like they they did great.
That's some high praise then.
Yeah, it's like yeah, from her it's really high praise. She is she is a critic, and I say that with all the love of my heart. And when she gave a thumbs up, like the super expensive ones, the full art like Zuko and Aang and all that stuff. She looked
Oh
at it
yeah.
with stars in her eyes, and I was like, "There's no way. Like I love you, but there's no way that's happening."
That's completely fair. And I apologize not to like pull from
No,
what you
it's
just
okay.
shared. The
Yeah, yeah,
full art, like the neon art. Another
yeah,
shout out to my partner. We got insanely lucky a few weeks
yeah.
back when we showed up at our local game store to. We actually were there to run a crash course and teach the game store owner how to play Rift because he was interested in it.
Nice.
And Nathan happened to put. He's like, yeah, I'll grab a collector's pack of Avatar. Why not? They had some at a decent price. And the first card he pulled after he looked at it, he was like, "Oh my god!" It was the Neon Zuko.
Oh
It was
my.
amazing. Immediately, like, got that in like the slab, and it's on display in his office right now. But it's so beautiful.
That's so incredible. I love that for you. Those cards are gorgeous. They're just absolutely just stunning.
Yeah, they did an
I
amazing job.
Yeah, they really did. And don't apologize for talking. Talk about your significant other as much as you want. I love it. Do it. Please do. Is there any sets prior to your time in Magic that you look back at and you're like, I really like that set?
Ooh, that is a good question. This is where I'm probably gonna have to wave the white flag of
That's
I'm
okay.
not knowledgeable enough to remember a lot of the names of the sets, to be
That's okay.
perfectly blunt.
Are there any cards from before you started playing that now you like absolutely love?
Oh God, yes. And I'll be honest, a lot of them are angels. I have a ongoing binder. I'm working on a small goal of, well, not small. It's going to be a lengthy goal
Mhm.
of trying to collect at least one of every art version of the angels that have been produced. I'm close to my goal on the named legendary angels.
Okay.
So a lot of them have been specific angel cards that I've really enjoyed. I do not remember specifically when Aurelia the War Leader was first printed,
Mhm.
but Aurelia is an amazing angel card. It's
Mhm.
disgusting, it's expensive, and it's stompy as all get out. But
Yes,
that's
Aurelia's
been one
great.
I really love. And of course the Avacins are always amazing. And then, I mean, some of the lands, I mean, I guess if I had to say like, I don't know, Gaia's Cradle would be really cool, or but it was a bit
I
rich for
mean,
my taste.
it's just a
Yeah,
little expensive. No biggie.
little guy.
Yeah, just a little guy. That's right. It's fine. No, I mean that's understandable. I mean, like I said, I started in the '90s. I took a long break and came back in Amonkhet, so 2017. And there's a
Beautiful
lot.
art too.
Yes, Amonkhet was fan. I did a. This is the one they had Grand Prix, and I'm also not one of those people like I miss the Grand Prix. No, the Grand Prix were stupid. I will stand. I will stand 10 toes down. I will die on that hill. Grand Prix were stupid, and Magicons are way better. But I played in a Grand Prix. They did like a box, like you had three people on a team, and you drafted from the box, and it was actually really really fun. I genuinely did enjoy that a ton. So Cat was great, but I also had a hard time like literally knowing any of the sets that came out in between the time I was gone until the time I came back because there's so much history in Magic.
There is, and it feels like it's only becoming. I mean, I can only say this from it is just a general feeling, not a I have actual proof of this. It feels like it's just becoming more rapid. So it's very difficult to keep up with. But I would be lying if I said I wasn't Googling sometimes when people were making specific mentions during Commander games, and I'm like, oh yeah, totally. Let me Google what that means. Oh, what? I
I
have
do
no idea
I
what we're
do that
talking
all the
about.
time. It's okay. I'm
Like at this
I'm
point,
not
I
the
am too
person.
late to ask.
I barely know my own decks and my own cards. I am not going to know yours too. That is
Yeah.
not happening. So you will tell me what it is, and you will deal. Like literally, like half the time, I forget what my interactions are. So yes, no worries. You're good. You're totally good. And I was gonna say I appreciate you and your time. I don't want to keep you forever, but I do have a few ending questions. As you've told us before we started recording that you've listened to the pod a little bit, so you're gonna know some of these questions, and some of these questions honestly you've already answered. So you can say actually it's this thing because I already said it, and I'll be like, cool. But I do have to start by saying they're super difficult. They're going to be super hard, and they're the hardest questions over here. That's not actually true. I just like to start that way. What is your favorite card of all time?
Oh man, that is. I had a feeling you'd ask this question leading up to today, and I was like, I'll figure that out, and I didn't do that.
That's
So I'm probably gonna be really freaking basic. I'm gonna, oof, favorite card. That is tough. I'm
I was
gonna,
gonna
I'm
say,
gonna, I'm gonna
if it helps,
how about
mine is Elixir of Mortality because I don't know, I just love being able to shuffle my cards into my deck, and I love gaining life because I don't like people messing with my graveyard.
hey, you know what? Fair point, fair point. Jeez. I'm going to, actually, almost all of my decks that involve white in it have Angel's Grace. So I think I'll mention that card.
Angel's Grace.
It's a great instant card. It's played off so well in most every deck I have it in. And it's like, I mean, I can at least for one turn stop the inevitable from occurring. So
Hmm.
I'll start with that one. I enjoy that one. And plus the
Uh,
name is nice.
Plus, actually, you answered one of my other questions, which would be what card do you play most often? Angel's Grace makes sense because you like putting angels in some way in your deck, and that's there. I do have a funny Angel's Grace story. Shout
Ooh.
out to the editor of this podcast, Jace. One time, my friend Tim, Jace, and I were playing a game, and I have this deck that intends for all of us to get decked out at some point, or I deck out my opponents, whatever. We were at a point where we were gonna windfall for like 50 cards or something, and we were all gonna deck out at the same time. Jace decides to play. And side note, we have what Mind's a Glow out. Not Mind's a Glow, I'm sorry. Hive Mind. Hive Mind is whenever you play a spell, whenever a person casts an instant sorcery spell, copy it for each opponent. So he plays Angel's Grace. We all have an Angel's Grace on the stack. They all go through. Then all of us run out of cards in our deck. And none of us win, none of us lose. The game doesn't end because simply
Oh my
because
god,
of that. So our friend Tim ended up winning by making us draw a card on his upkeep, and it was like,
that's
oh,
amazing.
great. Or no, we all had lab mans. That's what it was. We all had lab man, so we won by decking out with lab man. So it was really funny. But I love that card Angel's Grace, and that one instance was particularly funny because I think the hive mind stack thing messed it up. But Angel's Grace, great card. I agree with that. Okay, I'm gonna make you pick a child here, and I'm sorry in advance. What is your favorite
Oh
deck?
wow,
What is your favorite deck of all the decks that you have or have ever had?
this shouldn't be surprising. It's Giada.
It is Giada. Okay, I figured as
It is.
much. I figured as much. I know sometimes it can be hard for people, but I figured it'd be Giada.
It
Um,
is. It both and just I enjoy playing it, and there's a nostalgic value for me. It's the deck I feel most comfortable playing. Like I could go literal months without playing it to try to build other things. I go right back to it, and it's like kind of like riding a bike. You never really truly
yeah,
forget how to play it.
I was gonna say, is that your what you consider your brain off deck?
Yes, it is
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. Everyone has one, and we all need that sometimes. Magic is hard enough without thinking every single game that you play.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel that. What is a card you think people should play more often? Or
Ooh.
what is a mechanic people should use more often? Or a deck style that people just what is something in Magic that you think people should play or do more often?
Oh, interesting.
We've had people
Wow.
talk about Convoke, we've had people talk about Skulk, we've had people talk about play more cycle lands, just
Mhm.
whatever you think is something that you think people should do or play more often.
That makes sense. You know what? I feel like I'm going to be repeating someone that you'd already mentioned. I really enjoyed Convoke, and honestly, I would take my own advice here. I'd like to play Convoke more often. I first learned about it when I was running Kazla, the Broken Halo precon, and dang, that thing popped off fairly well, even as a
Yeah.
precon. I enjoy Convoke. I feel like you're essentially making mana dorks out of everything you have on the board.
Yeah,
If you're already running creature heavy, so it can take things that are already fairly expensive and just reduce the cost overall.
exactly. I will, and this actually came up in previous episode too. If it's a card that I don't see people play often, and I play because it is kind of like asymmetric board wipe often. If I don't know if you play it, and if you don't, you should play it in your Angels deck because it just honestly would work really well. Is Everything Comes to Dust from the Doctor Who set?
Ooh, remind me of what that does.
So it's a 10 drop, 7 and 3, but you can convoke and then exile all cards that don't match the creature type of a card that was used to convoke this cost or this card, and then exile all artifacts, enchantments, and I think planeswalkers as well. I have to double check that, but basically exile everything on the board except for the creature types that were used to tap for the convoke cost.
You're right. That is great for a typal deck.
Yeah, it really I ran it in my Aragorn deck, so
Mhm.
it was just typal humans, and I mean a lot of things are human, so it didn't work out as well sometimes. But if you're running angels, because not everyone's running angels, you're just like, oh, all of you have nothing, and I have 17 angels, so have a great day.
Oh, that's fair. I really like that.
Yeah,
I have to admit, I love Doctor Who, and like we ended up going in and getting the timey-wimey pre-con, which I really
yeah.
enjoyed. Really
I'm
should
so
have delved
sorry.
more into that set.
Yeah, timey wimey was a hard one too. It was a
Yeah.
hard deck. Oh my gosh. I've played a lot of Magic, and timey wimey confuses the absolute hell out of me.
Oh yeah, they're like suspend. I'm like, I'm suspending my brain power right now because I don't know what I'm doing. It was
I
fun, but I don't know if I was running it correctly.
I feel like that deck should be a group project as opposed to a single run. But yeah, I highly suggest that for your Angels decks, and to whoever has to play that Angel deck after that is put in there, I'm very sorry. What is a goal that you have for yourself as it comes to maybe Magic or content in general?
That's a great question. I want to, and it's more of a mental goal, I suppose, than like a tangible one. I want to really stop. I want to not like restrict myself creatively. I feel like anyone else who might be listening who, and I mean, of course, you as well, Jose, you're having to churn out content and it's a labor of love. There's a lot of
Mhm.
emotion and like time that goes into creating whatever medium that you work in.
Mhm.
And sometimes it can be a lot to put in. And sometimes I feel like I start limiting myself when it comes to content because I'm either worried it's not going to perform or I'm worried it's not going to be well received, which kind of go hand in
Um,
hand. I kind
yeah.
of want to stop doing that. I would like to continue pushing myself creatively.
That's all. I think that's a great goal. I think something a lot of people can resonate with because it can be scary putting yourself out there. And I think I've said this to you before, but art especially, and it's something Jason mentioned when we talked to Jason Ashcraft, is that like your art, whether it be music or photography or painting or whatever it is you putting yourself out there into the world and you're putting a piece of yourself out there for people to critique in some way, shape, or form, and that can be very scary.
It can be. And Jason, I can only imagine, really, really must, deal with that with his content. He's fantastic. But oh my
Yeah,
gosh, the
that's easy.
time commitment and the emotion it must take.
And I mean, for sure, I agree with that, and same for you. Like this, your passion is in photography, and you can tell you do a fantastic job. But it doesn't mean that it's not scary. It doesn't mean that it can't be fearful. That so like it could be a million people say amazing things, and one person says one shitty comment, and that can just bring the whole tower crumbling. And I understand that just as well as anything, because I live a lot of my life wondering if I'm gonna get have that one person say something. So I totally understand that, and I think the fact that you want to delve into more is very brave and very admirable.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's very reassuring and very kind.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm going to support you every way I can on the journey. So I can't wait to see that. And I do have one final question for you. What hopes do you have as it comes to maybe yourself, but also for the Magic community as a whole, and for Magic the Gathering slash Wizards of the Coast in the coming months, years, whatever have you?
First off, I love the question being about hope, considering both of our, our usernames
Yes.
online. I would say, in terms of the community, as you have referred to it as the gathering being the point of
Yeah.
magic,
Yeah.
I would like to see. I feel like there's been a lot of really good forward movement in, let's say, predominantly harsh places for minorities. I think that there's been some good forward movement. There's people that are working to, make it more, how do I put it, more accessible, more kind, more
Well,
fitting for everyone.
yeah.
I would like to see it continue in that direction. I think that at times I would hope that for like Wizards of the Coast as a company and, Magic as one of their projects that they listen to the people who are invested in it, that they really do well to like honor the lore and focus on what makes Magic special and different from other card games. And that might not necessarily be like, yes, the gathering part of it for them because they're a corporation, but I would like to see more in universe stuff again. Yeah, I hope that efficiently answers the question.
I think it definitely does. I agree that we're making strides, and I hope it continues in that direction. And I do hope that, as much as I'm happy that people are coming to the game, that they don't forget about the game itself and where it started. And I think I will say I'm very happy with the sets that came out after Drift this year. Tarkir and Edge of Eternities were great. I wish Lorwyn would have came out this year, but Avatar was a hit, so I really can't complain too much. And I'm glad that we're going to Lorwyn and back to Strixhaven and whatever fractured reality is. We'll find out, I guess. But I agree with you, and I'm very happy you're a part of this community, and I'm happy that you are doing what you're doing. I'm thrilled to be able to see what you do in the future, and I cannot wait to see what that is and go on that journey with you. And Bree, thank you so much for being with us today. Is there anything you want to shout out or talk about before we close out here?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you so much. I'm
Yeah,
really glad to have had this talk today. It's been great getting to know you and interact with you. I think you're doing an
yeah.
amazing job with all the work that you're doing and the people that you're talking with. I think it's wonderful. As for stuff I'd like to shout out, aside from my photography at Font of Hope on Instagram, if you don't mind checking it out, I also have a Pinterest I need to get better about using, if Pinterest is still even really a thing anymore. But of course, please, if you don't mind supporting the fellow Mono Black Meanies, we've got the meanest group of nice people. Go
Mhm.
check all of them out, especially as Jose ends up speaking with them because they're all wonderful, wonderful, lovable bullies. And I would like to do a special shout out because I do, as I've mentioned, some behind the scenes work with other creators, specifically Danny, our CEO, at Check for Traps, TCG, both on Instagram, but mostly on YouTube for video content. We've just recently started a Riftbound and Gundam streams or videos, I should say, pre-recorded content that I did all the graphic design and video editing for. So if anyone would like to check that out, that'd be super awesome. It's one of my other passions aside from photography, and it's an awesome, time to spend with, best friends. So if you don't mind checking that out, that would be awesome. Go tell Danny that he's silly or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. Give him a
yeah,
compliment and don't bully him.
yeah. Be nice to him, and then bully him a little. Just even it out, even it out. But Bree, seriously, thank you so much. Everyone, please go check Bree out because Bree is fantastic. You will not only not regret it, but you will be more fulfilled for being someone that follows her and seeing her content. Bree, again, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And everyone, thank you for joining us today. Just remember when despair tries to win, counter with hope. And have a great day.